Kenny here with Gardening Simplified. It's February 6th, and today we're going to discuss and go through potting up your transplants. And we're going to be doing tomatoes and peppers. And now we won't be doing all our peppers because some of them still haven't germinated good, but we have a bunch that are out there and we've got plenty enough to meet our needs. And we potted up some of our little tomato plants. And as you can see, some of these might be forming their true leaves. You know, you can see a few of them there. But a lot of them, they just got their first leaves. And that's when I like to pot them up. Now we're going to go over here. And then we potted up some of our tomatoes. We're going to go over here and we're going to pot up some more these ones here. So let's get started. For my mixture today, what I'm using in my cell trays, and I'm using these bigger trays. I like these versus your normal trays, and I've showed comparisons in the other one, but these are considerably bigger trays, so if I have to keep them in them longer, I'm not going to have a problem with it. But what I'm going to do is just fill this up. This here is ProMix FLX. This will probably be the last of this that I use. I really didn't like how many problems I had in some other areas using it, because I got it in case I would run out, and with all the supply chain problems that's going on around. And what happened was some of it's been sitting for, I don't know, maybe a year, and I just tap this down, and then I'm gonna kind of push these down. I want these fairly compact in here, and I'm going to have to mix me up just a little more. Okay, then I'll put a little bit there, and I just kind of pat it down, and I use I got a piece of bamboo that I kind of was playing around with a while back. I'll pick the bigger sticks out. This stuff does have occasional sticks like any peat moss would. But all I'm doing is I'm preparing my trays. Now, I had done a video, and I'll try to link it in the top up there. I'll try not to forget when I upload this to add a card for it. But I got a comment on it from someone about why did I multi-sow these plants instead of skip that step and just put them straight in the thing. And I thought I was pretty clear in the video that the reason I did this was two reasons. One, to save seeds, and the other one was to save space when you're putting these up. And I went back and I replied to them, and then they got kind of snooty and smart and told me maybe one day I'd learn how to garden. And apparently they have a problem whenever they said they tried that method, and it's not good, and it's hard for beginners. But I'm going to tell you that I had my granddaughters in here yesterday planting these. So if somebody wasn't capable, I give people credit as far as to be intelligent, be able to do a lot of these things, but apparently I give people too much credit. Of course, you got some of those that, and what it was they didn't like the fact that because I had a different view from what they had. It's coming to that these days, and I don't want to start a lot of drama on my channel. So eventually I just blocked them, so y'all wouldn't have to do that. I like different views. but there's no reason to get ugly because somebody doesn't share your view. Anyway, what we're going to do, I've got this little popsicle stick here, and I just make a V in it. I've showed this in some of my other videos, and it works real good for planting these. Now, I could use a dowel and make a hole, or I could just come down here with my popsicle stick. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit, maybe. Maybe we'll even be able to zoom in a little bit more. But anyway, I just make my little hole here. And then I'll take whatever variety. This is Rutgers here, so they look like they're up pretty good and everything. And this isn't that hard. Maybe I better zoom back out somehow. Now we'll come back just a little bit. All right, it isn't that hard to get these out. It's just a matter of turning it over, pushing on the bottom a little bit, and there they are. And we're just going to tease the bottom. This does work better, I think, if they're a little bit moist, but they don't have to be real moist. And some of these will come apart, and then we're just going to grab these leaves, and we're going to pull these little transplants out. There's nothing complicated about it. Sometimes I might pull out a couple at a time. Just try not to break them on the stem. I mean, a lot of times they'll survive, but we don't need to cause any extra stress. And you can kind of shake them and get the roots kind of separated. And if they have a little bit of dirt on them, it's not going to hurt. But I like to plant them small because when they're planted small, they have less of a tendency to have as bigger roots. It's like it doesn't bother them. We're going to go ahead and try to zoom back in here. And all we're going to do, we're going to take this transplant, we're going to lay it here, and we're going to put this stick right here by the roots, just below the stem. And we're just going to push it down however far we need. And now this tomato plant is ready to go. It's not leggy at all. You know, normally you can see how high they are out of the soil, how leggy they are. But this stem here, they better zoom back out again. This stem here will put on roots all the way down it, and you'll have a much sturdier transplant. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this whole thing and push these down. Now, if you have real long roots, sometimes some of them will, just take and push those extra roots down in the hole once you push your seedling to its depth. Now I have packed this in here really close. I mean, really, I pushed it down some, but it's still real fluffy. I didn't get real tight and pack it down. I just packed it down a little bit. And we're going to continue to do these. But like I say, these plants they just, if the true leaves might be popping out, but we don't need to have them where they're fully leafed out in order to do this. And you can see we have good roots on here. These will make excellent plants. And if you tear one up, you know, I try to do all these by the leaves. Other ones I'll do by the stem, but these are kind of good by the leaves. I think do both ways, but you notice in one video just a while back when I was potting up, I pulled off the top, trying to pull it up a little bit, so it wasn't quite as deep. But what's going to happen is these will start growing, and we'll go out there and we'll look at the other ones that were potted up, and we'll take and show how that is. And once I get these planted, we'll talk about watering these in so that you'll have a good plant. Now when you water these in, now I use just my gravity method, but I water these till I see the plant move kind of, so it settles in. I want to make sure that they're watered in good. Now I'm not a proponent of solo cups for plants. Now, you know, some of y'all that might be a good option. I always like cell trays. These are actually expendable trays. They're not the good solid high dollar ones. And a lot of these you can buy a lot on Amazon and eBay and stuff like that. That's buy you a small package of them and buy the um, solid tray for the bottom, put them in. Some of these I actually get my the little trays from the feed stores and stuff. When they sell their plants, they have the trays that it sits in. They're not solid, but they're a lot stronger trays than most of the, well, we don't need to water that, but they're a lot stronger than the trays that you buy whenever you'll buy a little kit with a dome and stuff like that. But those work good, and you can get a lot of those kits from say Lowe's or Walmart. You'll get the little kit that has the dome, and with that little kit you can use it over and over. Just if you're, but the little pellets that you plant in, the peat pellets, I wouldn't waste my money on those. If you're going to start seeds, you can buy a little bag of seed starter, or you can try to mix one. But if you're on a small scale, it's just easiest to buy. I used to, even the way I garden, I would take and buy the starter from like Lowe's or somewhere, and then I would start my plants. Now, like I say, these are all small. In fact, some of these right here are really small. This one here, you can see compared to my finger, and the one next to it. But they'll do fine. We'll go out here and we're going to look at the ones that have already been potted up. Okay, out here in the shop area. Now this is not climate controlled out here. So today, which the humidity is 58 and the temperature 62, I do have heat mats on these just for the fact that if you're wanting to get them up quick and get some size on them, you have good grow lights, then you can do that. But you can see I have a few that I potted up yesterday here, but these are some that I potted up a while back, and these are cherry tomatoes, and you can see this one here wants to outgrow all the rest of them, and it's looking good. Most of these are doing pretty good. I'm going to put some of these out even though it's way early. I have a few peppers that are doing real good over here, and I have cucumbers. You can see that they're forming their blooms and stuff. I have to kind of keep them so they don't grab a hold of something. But I'm fixing to go ahead and take these and put them out. I'm just going to have to try to protect them from the cold. If I lose them, it won't be the first time. But I'm going to do a little bit more this year. I have some others over here. I have my eggplant that have, these were planted in the trays. They weren't potted up. And I have a few other tomatoes. Now this tomato here, I probably shouldn't even have put it in a container. It's looking mighty rough. They do need some water again, so we'll fix that up. But I think this is stunning, and it's just going to have to be thrown out, you know. But that happens. I have some Roselle hibiscus. I planted this early because I want to make sure I get a crop this year. It is getting kind of long, and they did that before whenever I planted them. I'm not worried too much. I've got them under some strong light, so hopefully they'll do good. But anyway, I hope this video get you a little bit more knowledge as far as planting your plants. You can do it in a smaller area. The peppers, they do exactly the same way. I just take and plant them up to their first leaves. And you can see when you do that, of course, they do grow a little bit more past their first leaves, but they putting that extra under the ground never hurts them. They'll start rooting out from the bottom of it, just like tomatoes do. And especially if you're in a colder climate and you've got to try to do something to get your plants up to a certain size, because peppers take a little longer to produce and stuff like that. A lot of people overwinter their pepper plants. They'll take and trim them back and they'll put them in the garage and then start growing them back next year. But if you can't do that, this is a good option. And all these pots here, these have been recycled from a landscape nursery. So they had a bunch of extra pots, and you can buy them. I bought some smaller ones. Amazon's got a bunch of them and stuff. But if you need some pots, go ahead and get them, because you can use them over and over and over. And if you're worried about some kind of disease, we'll just take and take those pots and get you some water and bleach, to sanitize them and reuse them. It's simple as that. But anyway, if you like this and you're not a subscriber and you want to follow some of this, well, just hit that subscribe, hit the bell, and click all. And of course, always give it a big thumbs up. And I hope your garden's doing good. Well, there you go. We got a bunch of these little babies. We got one of our racks full. And for those of you that watch this video to the end, I'm going to give you a little gardening tip. Now, these are Charlottes, and I don't know what it takes for Charlottes to bulb, but I'm going to tell you about onions. If you're starting your own onion seeds and you're growing them under grow lights, short day onions take about 11 to 12 hours to start bulbing. So if you run your lights for a long time and you try to grow big plants, you're liable to, if you start running your lights that long, you're liable to get them to start trying to bulb before you want them to. Now, your day neutral onions take about 12 to 14 hours, and your long day onions take 14 plus hours. But that's a little tip, especially if you're growing under grow lights. That's why when I start my onions, and these have been in here for a little bit, but they'll be moving outside here in just a few days. But I always grow them out in the greenhouse. They take cool weather. They won't take freezing weather, but they take good cool weather. If it gets down into the mid-20s, don't worry about it.